And there's a good analogy of the three-legged stool when it comes to collaboration. If one's short, it's going to be wonky, and that's going to be the outcome you'll get. So, client, builder, designer, working together. Best possible outcome.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We're back in the shed this afternoon for an absolute cracker. I've been pumped about this one all day and really excited for the stories that are going to come out through this episode. So I won't hold back, we'll drive straight into it. So we've got David from Ecowise and we've got Anthony from Outlier. Incredible people. We've all met through social media. I've actually only met Anthony this afternoon. Dave and I have been chatting for a while. It's a funny story, but David actually did a profile on one of his pages, and one of the questions was, who would you like to sit next to on a plane for a 10-hour plane trip? And he said Dwayne Pearce. So that was a few years ago now.
Yeah, that was going back about 2 or 3 years ago. So that was sort of a player profile that we did with all my employees and that sort of thing. And we just all did a post up about them. And coming about through obviously, being a builder, I'm pretty passionate about the building industry, and I've sort of been following you like a sponge for about 5 years, and that's the thing. And I'd love to sit down and chew you for 10 hours. Obviously, get you a couple of hours here to chew you off, mate. And the other one was another American builder that focused on high performance. But the funny thing was, I could only pick one, and I had two of you, so you're going to have to share the seat, unfortunately.
Well, it'll be a good conversation, but. Before we get stuck right into it, so David from Ecowise Homes focused on high performance, healthy homes, but David and Anthony actually met on social media as well. I've checked Anthony out because you're doing really good things in the space as well with regards to high performance homes and healthier homes and stuff as well, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. It's pretty easy when you've got passion. I don't think someone once told me that you can't beat someone who wakes up in the morning and has got passion. And I think everyone in this chat right now has got that, which is, I'm excited to sort of see where this goes. And David and I, when we connected via social media, it was because I was looking for someone that was able to provide a consultation service pre-construction.
Yep. And
that's where we segue to you, Dwayne.
Yeah.
That you were the glue in all this as well. So whether you know it or not.
Well, David's touched on it a little bit, but so because you did our pack process.
That was going back just before I actually met Anthony. And I did the pack process and was like, I need to find designers, to work with. I think I approached a couple, but, I only just got a couple of free coffees out of me. And then I ended up, Anthony reached out to me on social media. It was about a solar orientation or something like that. And, we caught up for a coffee and, we really hit it off. And I think now it's a lot more than just a working relationship. We actually become mates. Yeah. And it just, I think, shows the power of collaboration. That's the thing what, you can achieve as a pair or a group. Yeah.
I think just to touch on this for a little while, because the podcast, I definitely don't want it to be a live, like, build sales thing, but it always goes that way because it's so powerful. Like Live Like Build has incredible processes, systems. Yep. Our Elevate group's an unbelievable community of builders. But collaboration is key to a successful result for our clients, I believe. But I'd like you to deep dive a little bit into that because I get so many builders ask me now, like, how do I meet other designers? Like, what do I do? What do I ask? How do I do things? Like, how did you first approach Anthony?
I think he was the one actually approaching me, to be honest. But
yeah, I might have been the one. I'd just come from an experience where I was called back to a previous firm that I'd worked for over a disgruntled client because they had gone to tender and it had come back well over. And I thought, that sucks. What can I do? Well, how can I approach this so I can avoid this happening again to mitigate it? And, I think I saw David posting away, and I'm sort of following along and reached out on a post and we caught up and I got to hear more about what you were doing in a pre-construction consultation.
We did actually sort of meet beforehand as far as I did a project for a couple that Anthony designed the project for us with his previous company he worked for, and that's something I think we met on site once about that. So we knew each other in that. I sort of go about the whole thing is about I actually have a full meeting schedule, or not schedule, but all my touch points that I wanted to focus on with Anthony and that sort of thing. And I think I sort of brought up the number of homes that the number of designs that don't actually get built.
Yeah.
You know, if you just have a designer, if you do the old fashioned of, you know, design, bid, build sort of thing. So, and obviously, you know, you had some situations that sort of, you know, you're interested in that, of course. No?
Yeah. I mean, moving on from there, it didn't take us long though to have a client who was the perfect fit for both of us, and that's when I think it all really started to happen and grow from there. And that's where I think we both realised like this is the best thing ever. Like,
so how does it work for you two? Like, how do you work the process?
So, the lead could come, so it could be an inquiry from either of us, and we'll then make that introduction to the potential client.
Yeah.
We kept it separate as far as the business side of things go, but it's usually just an introduction to begin with. We'll do our typical vetting processes and things as such, you know, an inquiry form, make sure that it's the right fit for both before proceeding any further.
We're very big on qualifying the clients, that's the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how are you doing that?
So I use Google Forms. So someone reaches out to me, I might spend a few minutes on the phone with them, but then, you know, refer them back to the Google form, which I'll email through to them, and then get for them to send for their plans that they may have, and a series of questions in there, and then
what sort of questions are you asking?
Just like what their budget is or what they're willing to spend. What's the most important thing? The project's built on time, the budget, or attention to detail. So obviously, if they sort of say budget, you're like, oh, hang on, that's probably may not be the right one for them. But I've had clients that do say budget, and then they actually worked out okay, and you know, had a great relationship with them. And then just like what are they looking for in their, you know, their builder? What are they looking for from a performance aspect? There's a few other ones in there, like have you got finance? What stage are you up to with your design? That sort of thing, and that. So. And then, you know, a phone call, obviously, qualify them again, just a chat, and then I'll sort of, you know, pretty much give them a free sort of, if they qualified after that, give them a free sort of hour for me to go through and sort of explain to them what I do is how I operate differently as a builder to most builders, and, just see how it goes from there, Do
you, I think the inquiry form is such a powerful tool, and like everything we do now, like everything's constantly improving, nothing's set in stone, and like we've definitely learnt, like we got pretty strict on our inquiry form for a long time, and there was a lot of jobs we said no to, like if they didn't fill things out. Whereas now we're sort of back to, we're educating the clients a lot more. Yeah. So I guess just to give the listeners a bit of an idea, like so ours, there's four, like I think we have about 12 questions, but there's 4 questions that we focus on. They have to fill out
the good ones that go back to them.
They have to fill out them all. Yeah. Like, because for me, if they don't fill out one question, generally that question is the budget. Yeah. Is like if that's the first point for me to see if they're going to follow me and treat me like a professional. Yeah. And if they don't value my system, how are they going to treat me for the whole job? Yeah. So for me, that's a big tick box. But so my 4 that I really focus on are site location. Yeah. Like we will not do a job anymore that's on a main road, intersection, near a school, in a parking area. You can lose tens of thousands of dollars just with that sort of shit. And then we ask them for so a type of job, and we give them it can be a new build, a renovation, an extension, or a lift and build under. Yeah. We ask them to give us a brief outline or scope of works that they're looking for. And then the most important one is their project spend. And like from those questions, like just an example, like if they tell me they want a lift and building underneath, their scope of works is a new living area, 2 new bedrooms, a laundry, and an internal stairwell, and their project spends $500,000. To me, that's a no-brainer. Like we can make that work. Yeah, yeah. But if they say that they want a lift and building under, they want a living room, 2 new bedrooms, a laundry, an internal stairwell, the kitchens and bathroom upstairs renovated, a new deck out the back, a carport, and their budget's still $500,000. Yeah. In the past, we would have gone back and said, "Oh, look, we really apologise, but at this point in time, we're unable to help you." Yeah. Whereas now we go back and go, "Oh, look, thanks very much for filling out all the questions. Really appreciate your information. From our experience and the data on our current projects, we estimate for the scope of works and the type of job that you've told us you're after, your project spend really needs to be 650 to 750.
Yeah.
And it's actually surprising the amount of people that come back and go, oh, fantastic. No one's actually told us what we want to cost.
There is like a portion of people out there just generally don't have any idea how much it costs to build, isn't there? Like,
so that one extra email to educate them on what it possibly might cost either goes two ways. You're either never going to hear back from them again because they're like, oh, fuck that. Like we've been told we can get it built for $400,000. Or you get the ones that are like, oh, mate, fantastic. Like, can we have a meeting? We'd love you to educate us more. Like, it's that whole inquiry, or we call it the PAC process. It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I think it's been a huge game changer for my business. Like, going back, when I first started, I'd get a phone call and we'd be like, chew their ear off, and, then we'll jump in the utes the next morning and we'd be on site like, oh, what can we do for you, and that sort of thing. And then like now I call it hurdles. Like, and, I sound bad, but I try not to spend that much time with wasting my time with clients that aren't even a client. Like, I'm all about, like, send them an email back and say, I do believe it might cost such and such to do your job and that sort of thing. But again, try and do it as quick, as efficiently as possible. And that's where that Google form is really amazing, that you get a series of information that didn't take you really any time apart from to send that email.
No, it's, the next thing is taking it next level, mate, and we embed a little video now, like 3-minute video, nice. And it just I can tell that one video, like, because that's 50 phone calls.
Yeah.
Like, you get asked the same question all the time. So we just answered a heap of questions in like a 3-minute video. The number one thing we explain in that video is why it's so important they tell us what their project spend is. Yeah. Because that's the number one question people hate answering. Like,
I think you get told a different figure to I get told.
That's happened a few times. But there's also been some great examples where that project has just, like, they were unrealistic with their budget and stopped right there, and for the better. Like, that was the best outcome for that person at that time, was to put the brakes on and not go forward with it at that unrealistic budget. And look, they may find someone who says, I can do that, but we all know they're going to end up at the same place where they shouldn't be.
I think that's where like the builder involved is so important. Like, with the first sort of pricing we can do, like, there's a lot of assumptions that are made. Like, might be concept stage. We probably don't have any, structural engineering and that sort of thing. So we are making a lot of assumptions as far as, maybe structural steel and all sorts of stuff. But at least, you're sitting down and spending, the 3 or 4 days worth of work in it to get your figure and that sort of thing. And as you said, it can be a red flag and say, no, that's well and truly above our budget, or hang on, let's remove that second balcony area or the fourth bedroom, that sort of thing. So,
The only thing I'd say that I do probably further, because we have an inquiry form, it's a Google Doc as well, is we actually have a few statements and we just want to make sure they align with that. And one of them is, how do you see this home? Do you see it as a commodity, or do you see it as a place for you to live with your family? And if it's a commodity for resale, then we're probably not going to be aligned. And, we try and just throw a few of those thought-provoking statements out there and just see how that sort of fits with them. And that's another way that we sort of, another thing we put into that inquiry form as well. But I like that video. That's a great idea.
That is, to me, that's how you add value to your business, isn't it? Like, you want to be aligning with people that have the same or very similar beliefs, values, opinions, all those types of things. Because it doesn't only make them treat you as a professional and respect your opinions and the service that you're going to be delivering to them, it just makes a far better relationship.
Straight away. Like, instantly, that you're going to be with someone who's like-minded, and you're going to, hopefully get along really well and because ultimately we're looking at the outcome, and it's the project, and we're project focused, and that's what we want to be able to do, is provide the best outcome. So, what have you sort of found are you client focused or project focused? Like, what's it typically for you when you look at something? Is it you want to have the best possible clients regardless of what the project is itself? Or
for me, we've really changed our tune on this. So when actually it's 10 years ago now when I first started reaching out and getting some mentoring and coaching and stuff, and everyone. Like, I tried 5 or 6 different coaches, and everyone said you've got to find your green house or your red house, And I went down that path, and whereas now we are all about the client. Like, I don't care what type of job it is, whether it's a new build, a renovation, an extension, a $50,000 carport, or a $5 million house. If the client doesn't have the same beliefs and values as me, then it's not worth me working for them.
Yeah, it's like building a home or large renovation extensions. It's like a mini marriage, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like a plumber coming around to fit off a hot water unit. You're literally spending like potentially 3 to 4 years with that person to, right from the design stage through to building the home, and then, like a follow-up service afterwards, that sort of thing. So you got to be compatible in that, don't you?
Yeah. And I think it's just so powerful. Like we, obviously I put myself out there a lot, and we talk a lot through our socials about our values and the types of work we like doing and why we're using it and why we're using certain products. And like we've definitely found over the last couple of years, like the more we talk about using more sustainable products. So like even only a couple of weeks ago, like we had our demonstration with ProClimber, and we want to start implementing them on all of our jobs. And like we had a huge, because that's ProClimber's really not getting used here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
They haven't got a presence here really at all.
They were the day we had that training. So I actually had to get Stewie Shelton from the Shelton Group up from Northern New South Wales. He brought the gear up with him and gave us a demo out there. And then that afternoon, I actually, like a ProClimber representative was in Brisbane from Melbourne. They're actually looking at setting something up here. So at the moment, if you want to use it up here, you've literally got to. There's one supplier, but we haven't had much luck with. But you've literally got to get it shipped up here.
Wow. Okay.
But like just that one post showing people that we're educating ourselves, we're looking into better products and using things. It attracts like-minded clients. And so as we were discussing before we started recording today, we're really big on sustainability and green tagged and starred products, and like I'm huge about products being 100% recyclable at their end use, and so we're attracting those types of clients. And whether it's a small 100 square meter house that's really well built, well, like we've got a client coming up where it's actually a huge house, but it's for the Chinese, it's for the entire family. Like his parents are going to be living with him, her parents are going to be staying half a year. So I want clients that are thinking about the healthier living, the more sustainable. I don't want to just be building a $2 million house for someone that just wants a massive house.
Yeah, there's purpose there. I love that. That's immediately I just sort of, like, we've just completed a project we collaborated on together, and to see the client at the end of that project, like the emotion, the gratitude that you see in that, you won't get that from a project focus, I don't think. Like you may find that you get the best of both worlds in some occasions, but it's that feeling.
Yeah, they were amazing. Yeah, no, they were just really good clients, weren't they? Yeah.
But I don't think you guys have created that. Like, I don't think you get that even in a custom build if the builder and architect or builder designer haven't got a relationship.
So these clients, they were like absolutely amazing. Like, we just poured the slab, and I think we just started framing, and we'd been doing the weekly site meetings. They're like, "Oh, what about next week if we just scrap the site meeting and we just have a bottle of wine on site?" And I was like, no worries, I like wine. Let's do that. So literally, they just brought a couple of bottles of wine and some cheese and biscuits, and so we sat on the slab and had a wine and some cheese and biscuits. Amazing, I don't even know how many bottles of wine I actually drank with them throughout the project. That's the thing. It was a fair share, and you were
I was present for a lot of that as well, which was amazing.
Yeah.
To actually go right through from, we both started at the seed of design right through to handover. And I wasn't in a formal position, like as a contract administration. I actually want to steer clear of that. I think that for the most part, that contract admin fee could be better spent in most residential projects, maybe some of the higher end ones for whatever reason. But for my role, it was probably more just collaborating with you, doing the testing, so lower door testing and thermal camera inspections, and just basically doing that as built verification service. But also we wanted to test and make sure, one of the things that David and I both align on is we want to test and make sure that what we're doing is actually performing as we intended. Yeah. And for this particular project, we had to get a bit creative. You're probably better placed to talk about the starts where this project started, and how we had to then work together to realign that to budget, and then like what that created as well.
So the project was in Castlemaine, and I was involved as a consultant early on, and Anthony sort of introduced me to him that, and we're going down the down the path of what I call traditional passive housing in Australia, and that's the thing with full Intello membrane and that sort of thing. And then I priced the job and that, but it just went well and truly above the client's budget. And so that's where we, with the collaboration service, that we work together to like, all right, how can we, make this, project cost effective, but also perform well. And that's where we utilise plasterboard internally as our airtight system. And it's obviously it needs to be installed anyway. But yeah, we just seal it up around all the bottom plates, all the window penetrations.
Yeah, I was super keen to learn more about this.
Yeah. So we don't. The way we do it is the slab's fully insulated, so it doesn't touch the ground at all. 100% onto XPS foam. And then we put down a air seal plate, just a bottom plate, just glue that down. That gets polyurethane to the slab. And then we build our wall frames on top of that. And then we don't build any internal wall frames, just all the external and any load-bearing wall frames. And then we line the inside, wrap it, put the windows in, roof on. And the wrap's all detailed, correctly.
So wrap externally?
External wrap, yep.
Are you using the Pro Climber or?
No, on that project we use a Benjamin Obdoc, which is an American product. No, we haven't been using the Pro Climber. We use their tape though, bloody amazing tape.
Yes, isn't it?
And then so the roof's on, windows are in. We plastered the inside, but no internal walls yet. So and then we polyurethane around all the windows, bottom plate, top plates, anywhere the windows. Around like the window trimmers and that, so it's 100% sealed up. Anywhere we have power points, we've got these little plastic airtight power point boxes, and then any sort of plumbing penetrations, just seal it up. Like obviously, like you would in your wet areas, you need to seal it up anyway. But around the kitchen, that sort of thing, HRV, aircon, seal them up, and then the ceiling gets lined the exact same. So it's sort of like consider it similar to like a shop fit out. I don't know if you've done any shop fit outs over the years. That thing where you just got this open plastered shell. And then you start building all your internal wall frames with the plastered seal and external plastered wall. So you've got that continuous plaster membrane.
So how are you fixing your internal walls to your
your
ceilings and
Simpson
stuff?
Strong Ties have a screw out for it. That is a plastic coated screw that you drive up, not same as your L bracket. That gets drived up for your top plate and picked up into a noggin or a truss, because you'd use a traditional L bracket.
We avoid them whenever we can. But how's that seal? Because isn't that penetrating your ceiling lining?
Yeah, so a penetration's fine as long as there's a screw or nail in it. If you drill a hole and don't put anything in it, that's an air leak. But if you fill that hole with a screw or nail, it doesn't have any impact on it. Yeah.
So that's a huge collaboration in design, because your whole load of your roof is support on the outside walls, and you can't have any internal load-bearing walls.
Yeah.
So, firstly, climate dependent. You may not need to insulate your slabs up here.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So this is what we're doing in Victoria.
So, ground temps there, and we'll get into the data collection that we do later on, but I'm sure our data collection indicates that ground temperature there should be insulated. We want to stop that thermal bridge occurring and that heat leaching into the soil there. But we basically pulled the whole thing apart. Like we were looking at sort of maybe some of the more European design or construction details to achieve some of those outcomes. And we thought, no, I think we sort of decided, let's try and do this cost effective to get it to budget. So what can we do with just the standard materials that we're going to be using anyway, and what can we do as far as the construction methodology goes to keep it as standard as possible, but achieve, high performance outcomes? And boy, did we blow a door test that home. I mean, at least 20 times. We would put penetrations in plaster, blow a door it, see if there's any air leakage. Okay, there's no air leakage. We hung pictures, so there's nails going into the plaster. We'd blow a door it. No air leakage.
Because that was going to be one of my questions. What if you test this house at Sweet and the client comes in and puts shit all over the walls?
And they did, and we tested it, and so we knew it was all good. Yeah.
So we've recently only in the last sort of month done our first pricing on a passive home. Sven and the guys from Maxa Design in Melbourne are
amazing.
Working on it. It's a home up here in Brisbane, and so I know a lot of the guys down in Melbourne building passive homes, and I was chewing their ear off a lot, because I've done my course, but I've never built one. And I couldn't believe the extra. It's a large home, but it added about 10 to 12%, I reckon, to the build cost.
Yeah.
And everyone's telling me, that's pretty average. I'm like, that's huge. Like,
we're trying to focus on the products that you already have, like plasterboards. Obviously, you need it in the home. So it's like, how can we utilise that as an airtight system and, get rid of that internal airtight membrane? And with the plasterboard in the ceiling too, you have wires come down for all your, your power points and light switches for all your internal walls and that sort of thing. And they're just simply drill a little hole in the plaster, polyurethane up where the wires come through and that, and it seals up fine. That so. And like with that process, you do need to do two different roughings. So you get your trades to do the two different roughings. So you do like an external wall roughing, but you got all your lines chalked out in the slab and that thing. But the plumbers just bring through like little droppers for their hot and cold water, and then electricians just drop all the wires down, similar shop fit out and that.
Well, it's all about good supervision and coordination.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a work in progress as well. Like, we're always going to look to how we can simplify things, mostly just for affordability. Like, that's one of our probably our big driving factors towards what we're trying to achieve with, and we've coined it hybrid home, because it's this hybrid of different things, and we're trying to provide these outcomes. So
and it's sort of in between standard construction and passive houses. Is that sort of hybrid?
Easiest way to put it, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. So it's a high performance home.
It is a high performance home. I mean, we hit the end result 0.6 air changes, so it does meet the air change benchmark for passive house certification, and we have had some preliminary assessments done on that as well. We've compared, we've compared it against NatHERS, passive PHPP, and we've got our own sensory data system in the home, and it's extensive, really extensive. So it's giving us live data right now that we can always know that it's performing as intended, that we have no moisture and condensation issues occurring in any of the assemblies.
Is this the one you're telling me about your sensors?
Yeah, so it's a client coming up that we've done the project for later on in the year, and obviously he's been through the design process with Anthony. I can't recall how the conversation came up, but he's an IT whiz, and you said something like, I'd love to do a sensor or something in my home. He's like, I can do that for you. Is that correct? Or?
We've got a few phenomenal clients that we're collaborating with.
Are we able to talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah. And they just keep wanting to be a part of what we're doing. So that first client, that this project we've just finished, is now wanting to come to our other sites and see what's happening. Has really pushed me to look at other options in prefabrication and building affordability, which I have dived into. And
they're super keen to come camping with us too.
It's just amazing.
That's the power of the pack, like a pack process. It's collaborative. So you're attracting similar. I talk about this all day, every day. Like, you're attracting similar people to yourself, and they are going to be the ultimate client.
Yeah, they are the ultimate client. The one we have currently under construction is like putting more social media content up than we are combined. I just could not be more in love with this. And again, we're still resolving things now during construction that otherwise would there's no way that outcome would be the caliber it is. And that particular project, I mean, talk about collaboration, might include, we work with really closely with a particular structural engineer as well. And we had a few little budget issues, and it was mostly due to portal frames on that particular project. And we wanted to have some exposed timber trusses, and just working with the structural engineer yourself. And
so I think I did the first sort of, I call it a feasibility, my first round of pricing, and just off a concept plan, that's the thing. So I was making a lot of assumptions with structural engineering, and that's the thing. And then somewhere along the preliminary side, Andrew, the structural engineer, got involved, and he's like, it's pretty long, skinny home. He's like, we're going to have these steel portals and that going down in the ground. So I'm like, geez, Andrew, I haven't allowed for this in my price. This is going to stretch the budget a fair bit. But it was they had above where those steel portals were exposed hardwood trusses. So it was between the three of us. I can't remember exactly what the idea, but the conversation brought that, well, instead of having exposed trusses, let's build these structural timber portals that aesthetically look even better, I personally think.
Agreed.
And add structural purpose to the home, that's the thing. So,
and again, it's the power of collaboration, isn't it? If you were doing the design and then handing it over to you and you just did the building, none of that conversation happens.
100%, And just with the fee of the pack process, I'd just return that tenfold to that client. It's 20-fold even.
And then the project that hasn't broken ground yet is
back to sensors.
Our client who is in software development or programmer. Well, not sure the official title of the job description there, but and essentially we sort of bounced off the idea of like, you're in that sort of side of things. Would this be possible? He's like, yeah, no problems at all. So I just acquired all the hardware and he did the back end and is also now developing the user interface of it all for our clients. So they can, because, most importantly, it's great for us to see how what we're doing, what the outcomes are, and that it's, everything's good, but also for the clients to be able to utilise that as well.
Where have you got the sensors?
Okay, so we've got a temp humidity sensor on the backside of plaster and on the backside of the external wrap or sarking on the north, south and the east walls. So we can see any dew point or condensation point that might occur in there as well. And we have an indoor air quality sensor. We have external sensors as well. One of them is a ground temperature sensor, but the other's a weather station. So we've got external temp, humidity, all the other good things like wind and etc. Yeah. We've got all energy consumption, both what's produced via the PV solar array system and also what's coming from the grid and going. What else have we got in there?
Have you got anything in the roof?
In the roof, yeah.
Ah, yes, yeah.
So with the hybrid home, and again, just from cost to when we priced as a passive house to bring it to this hybrid home, is the ventilated roof cavity, and that's the thing. Like a fair portion of that roof is at 10 degrees.
Yeah.
So we were required to put OSB backing on the wrap and that. And it just wasn't adding. The figures weren't adding up. So we're like, all right, how about we go down the path of using anti-con, which I know that's a lot of people frown upon that within the high performing industry.
Well, I'm keen to talk about this because people are saying anti-con is terrible. Like it shouldn't be used. It creates mold. It's condensation. Like it's a terrible product.
Yeah, there must be cases of that happening, but like from what we're seeing, it hasn't. So we got a sensor directly underneath the roof sheet, so on top of the insulation, and then another sensor underneath the insulation in the anti-con. So it's pretty much touching the foil and then the insulation. But maybe you chat about like the ventilated roof space versus ventilated cavity.
Yeah, it's not like we're just putting anti-con on and not giving a ventilation strategy the thought it deserves.
Yeah.
We have looked at that external ventilation strategy from the walls where we've got ventilated cavities, brick veneer, obviously we've got the cavity, but then we've got lightweight cladding, so we've got a continuous ventilated cavity there. But what we've then, as opposed to having a ventilated cavity over the roof sarking or wrap, we've actually decided to go just above the insulation layer with our wrap, terminate, and then allow the ventilation to occur in the roof space above that insulation layer. Yeah. And that's combined with a ventilated roof capping or ridge capping.
Yeah.
So our intention was to essentially have ventilation occurring all the way over the external face of the wall wrap and then bringing that roof space to a consistent temperature to what is occurring externally to then reduce, again, moisture occurring in that space. So far, we have not seen any evidence on from our sensors and data collection that indicate there is any moisture or condensation occurring in that space. That's what I'll believe when what's coming in there. There are plenty of analysis that have been done that say otherwise, but yeah.
But I think there's a few things happening here. There's like we're trying to make that roof space as cold as possible, as much as possible outside air temperature to minimise condensation. If obviously you get a huge contrast, that's where you get a more higher chance of condensation. But with this, our home's airtight, so we don't have that 25-degree air temperature coming up from within the internal wall frames through like say a traditional home might have the old swampy on the roof and it's not sealed up in winter and that's just blowing air straight up into the ceiling. So, in a traditional home, say there's very vague figures, but in a traditional home in the middle of winter, the roof cavity might be at say like 10 degrees or 15 degrees because it's got that much air drafting out of it, and then outside's in the minus, so you've got that huge contrast. It's the lot higher chance of condensation.
Yeah.
But what we do is obviously try and keep as close as possible as outside temperature, and that with that ventilation strategy and that sort of thing. So
I think it's a tricky one because I feel like a lot of issues that come up are caused because they're not actually installed correctly in the first place.
Can be true. Yeah.
Like we've done heaps of renos now where we've pulled or exposed anti-con and it's been perfect.
Yeah.
Like no mold, no condensation, 9 times out of 10 where we find mold and signs of condensation and water damage and things is poor roof installations and
wet area leaks.
Yeah, wet area leaks.
That's one thing.
Well, probably the most common one is that Anticon hasn't been finished correctly, and it's hanging into a gutter or something, and it's soaking moisture in.
I guess I'll always just revert back to, it's okay for it to get wet at times, but as long as it can dry, as long as that drying capacity is there, and which we've given that a lot of thought. We've tested it on site with smoke machines. We've looked at how solar gain impacts that heat stack effect and how solar gain impacts that ventilation and its efficiencies. We've really
that stack effect is like I've only recently learnt about that stack effect. Like it's a no-brainer to me. Like if you can't, like every house should be pulling that ventilation from top to or from bottom to top.
Yeah, but in winter when it's colder, it has a reverse effect because you've got the cold air, so it tries to go down. So Anthony was like a mad scientist there one day with the smoke machine, just like trying to blow smoke into the brick cavity and that sort of thing. And it was the middle of winter and it wasn't going up because it's not going to go up because it's cold air. So cold air wants to go down. So
we always focus on the south side first because that's got the least drying capacity. So like that's where we're at. I'm like, what's going on here? And then it starts to dawn on you and like, it's working, but it's doing it the opposite. Let's try this. Let's test this even further, and that's what we came to realise in that occasion. Anyway,
that's unreal. I want to go back. You just touched on before, Anthony, that you don't tend to get involved with the contract administration. That's through the job, and like I think it was a great point that you made that money's better off being spent somewhere else in the project. And I've really changed on this. Like I used to really get frustrated when we did architectural jobs and they would because it still does create so much more administration for me as a builder. But we've had a few situations recently where architects that we've worked for in the past that have done that have said to us, "Oh, you can just run the jobs through your normal master builder's contract." And
it's just trust you.
It's trust.
That's great.
So it's and so it's really changed my mindset. Like, and I feel like the only reason, or there's a few reasons why architects or designers push for that. And I think the biggest one is because so many clients are still in that tendering scenario and they're grabbing the cheapest proposal. The architect has to manage it because they want to make sure they're actually getting what they put on paper. Because we all know, like as soon as you take a cheaper quote, every item's been substituted for a cheaper version or a cheaper way of doing it. And the other thing is that there's just no trust because there's been no collaboration, there's no trust between the architect and the builder. So collaboration can help minimise all that as well, which is only a benefit to the client because it's obviously reducing fees, but it's, I don't know, like maybe the architects are losing out on some fees, but I'm sure those fees can go into better areas.
Do you find that by doing that, it's reduced the variations during those builds, even when there isn't an architect is contract administering it?
Oh, mate, variations on our jobs, it's quite funny. So we've, I don't know, I like testing myself these days. So we've recently done a couple of jobs for friends of friends, and we've known for a very, very long time, and they didn't do our pack process, and we've sort of broken our own rules and we've gone backwards. And, well, I shouldn't say we've broken our rules. Like I knew going into it that it wasn't what we do now. And for me, it's like a bit of a test to see how far we've come. And like one of those jobs in particular is only a couple of weeks away from handover. And mate, it's been a good, smooth job, but it's been a nightmare compared to how our jobs normally run now. Like me being involved as a builder in that collaboration process, like our jobs don't have variations. And yet, these jobs now, because the client's like, oh no, that's fine. We've known you for years. Like, we'll just, and like one in particular is like another family member's a draftsman. So like, and we refuse to do jobs for draftsmen now. Like, it's got to be a building designer, an architect. Like, no, he'll just draft up the drawings, and it's only a simple, like it's a commercial job. But it doesn't matter how simple they are. Like the extra, just seeing how far our business has come and seeing, like, using this as a bit of an experiment and just seeing how many extra hours I have to put in, my supervisor has to put in, my wife in the office, because all the things we do now before we go to contract weren't done. It blows my mind. Yeah. And that job's ended up with a dozen variations.
Yep. Well, that's good to know. I honestly wasn't aware that, that would even be an option, that you could look at a master builder's contract in that, in that contract administrator role, or the architect is the, contractor administering it. So that's good to know.
So master builders, well, I'm not sure about other states, but here in Queensland, like, they have a option for you to nominate a designer or architect or someone as a contract administrator.
Yep.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. Like now, running our business the way we run it and having all our systems and processes. But for me, the change to my business from being involved, so we've really we've pretty much changed our entire business model. So, like, our business is set up now. Like, I have an incredible site team. My supervisor is unbelievable. My wife and my accounts manager run the office. Yep. So my time is pretty much, like, I go to all design meetings with all of our jobs. I do all the quoting and estimating. I do all the site investigations. So just me being involved in those conversations, like learning more about why you guys do things the way you do, orientation, placement of windows, like all these things that I reckon is making me a better builder.
It is those small things that make a big difference. Like, you know, like the meetings I attend that with you guys now, it's like, he's just prick. It's like, oh, hang on, like, okay, when we quote that, we better not do that because that's what the client wants. And then, like, throughout the build or something like that, something will come up on the board, say to you, what about this? Like, no, that's what the client wants. We can't do that. No, like, that's, So you do get a understanding for it, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing you just touched on has been the biggest thing. Like, hearing, like, there's a lot of meetings I go to where I'm just there to sit and listen.
Yeah.
And just like you say, like hearing those conversations and thinking. So I will quite often make notes now because there's a lot of things that get discussed that don't make it to drawings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Just lots of, they're not major things, but they're little things that in the past, like I think about them all the time now and I just laugh. Like back in the day, you'd be through the job and the client would be, I want such and such there. And I'm like, well, it's not on where? Like, it's not on my drawings.
Variation for that.
Yeah, and like, that's going to be a variation. Like, no, it's all been discussed. And I'm like, well, it's not on my drawings.
Yeah, that's right. It was actually funny this week, because the client that we got the build at the moment is throughout the design stage, he pricked my ears about he wanted to have future-proof the home for like grab rails, nogs for grab rail, like plywood in there and that sort of thing. So this week I had a meeting with him. I was like, I just still want to, like, where do you want these nogs now for the grab rails? He goes, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, so it's like, but like I'm prompting him about it. And, obviously if I wasn't involved, that wouldn't have happened. He probably would have forgotten. Then he finishes his build, like, maybe 30 years time, he goes to put a nog in, a grab rail, and he doesn't have a nog there sort of thing. So,
Oh, I think it's so valuable. Like, we're really lucky, like the few designers and architects that we're doing a lot of work with, like they're very big on minuting all the meetings. So like every meeting gets minuted. They send it through to us. We add anything that we feel should be added. A lot of times that's more around costings and things. They get signed off before they go to the next stage of design.
I know you guys are big on sending follow-up emails, that's the thing with dot points. That's like follow-up tasks for everyone, that's the thing. So,
and then those little points that we're talking about that sometimes get missed, like there might be things that we pull out of the minute meetings that we put into our proposal. So we'll set our proposal up that we're nowhere near starting to cost yet. But we get a lot of that now too. Like people want to age in place. So my wife might be able to pull a note out of a meeting minutes and just sit it in our proposal so that when we're doing the proposal, it doesn't get missed.
That's great.
It's a no-brainer.
No, it's definitely changed my business, the whole collaboration process and that sort of thing. It's been amazing.
Likewise.
So how do you guys work it? So you're completely separate businesses. Because I think this is what a lot of people struggle with. Have you found you've had to sort of figure out how each other's business works to make the process better?
I think initially, yes. Like there was certainly for me to better understand how a pre-construction consultation service might work. pack service might work. But once we sort of had a grasp of that, it was pretty smooth sailing from my perspective.
I think we both know each other's boundaries. Like, I know you're the designer. I hope I don't, I may. Step on your toes at meetings about design. And, I think you respect builders that, we focus on pricing and buildability, and that's the thing. Like, obviously, we do have a little bit here and there. Like, you're chippy but back trade and that thing, so you have a good understanding of how to build. But I think we don't overstep each other's boundaries and that. And, know the lines,
Yeah, I think builders can get a pretty bad rap sometimes, and I've been there and I've experienced it, so I know what it's like.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider. It's a mammoth task to build a home. I don't know if people realise just how much thought and the amount of thoughts, processes that go into it. If collaboration makes that a little bit easier and provides the best possible outcome, that's.
So how do you work with timeframes and things? Because I know that's been something we've really had to work on with being involved so much, because if you guys have a bit of a drawing schedule, but at a certain point you've got to go out to Dave to get some pricing, and you don't want him to take 2 months because then you won't move on to the next stage.
I do take 2 months.
No, it works exactly like you would if you were just scheduling in trades to be on site. So for us, we'll say, how long do you expect this is going to take? And then we can schedule it in to begin from there. It's, there's nothing worse than when you've been told that, plumber will be there on Monday, and that is no-show. And it's the same for us. Like, if that pricing's not back that week that it was meant to be, then it's a no-show for us, and we're left sort of going, well, now what do we fill that space with work? Yeah. So I think that's where communication is paramount, and I think we do that really well. So we'll say when we issue out a drawing set for feasibility costings very early on to sort of say, hey, is this design feasible to budget? We'll say, what's the expected turnaround on this at the moment? And if anything changes, it's just updated, and we've got as much headwind as possible to make those calls.
Yeah.
And so do you share lots of this is something that I bang on about a lot, but it blows my mind that finished completed project costs aren't ever given back or asked for by architects and designers. And for me, it's a no-brainer. Like, we really share a lot of info with the guys we work with now, and every time we finish a project, we basically just divide the cost by the square meters, and we come up with a meterage rate, and then we call them project sheets. And then with the designers, you get your clients fill out design brief, and you compare it to 3 previous projects. Well, this project was 3,200, that one was 3,800, this one was $5,000. Which one do you want? Your budget's this. You can have this. It's.
No, we're very big on just chatting to each other. Like, it's nothing official, but it's like, oh, hey, mate, just that job ended up costing such X amount and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even at the start of the design, we do have a bit of like a sort of, for these hybrid homes, a bit of a sort of square metre sort of figure, but obviously every job's different, as you know, with custom building. But we do have figures we're chatting about, like, oh, what do you reckon this one, like such and such? And so we do have actually lots of conversations, I don't know about you, but with just the designer and the builder, with the client's best interest in heart, but it's just a conversation. Even the structural engineering, that's the thing. Like, we had a meeting one day, it was just the 3 of us just having a discussion about the job and the best way to do it, and it sort of wasn't required for the client to be involved in it.
I'm honest with the clients about that, though. I'll say that we'll have meetings that are just to sort of work out that, or value manage, or find consider constructability on some design aesthetics or something that we've got in mind. But they're aware of it. They know it's happening. They know it's in their best interest. Again, as long as communications,
communication's key. Isn't it?
It is.
I think for all homeowners to homeowners that aren't creating a team to deliver their project, it's going to end in disaster. It sounds like you guys do exactly what I do with our guys. Like, we're literally talking almost on a daily basis. Like, hey, I think it's fantastic. Like, I love it when the architects or the designers ring me and go, hey, Dwayne, I'm thinking about doing this here. Like, how do you think that's going to work in the budget? And like, I can say, look, that's a really good idea. Let's run with that. Or, oh shit, no, that's going to really push the budget.
And just like, no, that client can't afford that. We just can't go down that avenue. Like, it's not there, sort of thing. Like,
or at least you've got the information to go back to the client and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, but it's going to push this. Like,
yeah, and that's usually how it will go. If we think that it's, on the cusp there, we'll put it to the client and go, look, this is where we think it's at. Sometimes maybe you do need further information before you can make those decisions as well. And again, working with someone like the structural engineer that we do, we're able to sometimes get that information a bit earlier than, we normally would in the process to help it out. And it's all project specific, I guess.
But for us, I think we do the feasibility. And, obviously we try and get, as close as to where we think it's going to be. And then after I present the feasibility, I was, saying to them, all right, so how much what's your thoughts on this? And even if it's a week later or a couple of weeks later, maybe have another meeting and say, all right, to get your project down to your budget, we need to I recommend doing X, Y, Z. And they're like, we could happy to get rid of that one, but we want to keep that one. Oh, we've probably got an extra X amount to spend, sort of thing. So it's like we're there to come up with solutions for them and that sort of thing. And that's where it's good, being involved in the design process is like, well, hang on, they're really passionate about this music room or studio, so that's definitely not going, but this big outdoor area could be shrunk down, or this type of cladding can be changed and that sort of thing. So
I get a lot of value out of the meetings that usually when you're leading for pricing or value management, like I just sit there like a fly on the wall and just absorb, because I'm the first to admit as a designer, we are definitely not the ones who should be giving advice on costing at all. That's, I feel, is the expertise of the builder. Not to say that we shouldn't have some idea, but that we should be talking with, as I do, talk with David and get that advice or get that expertise and advice from you, and then being able to then apply that with within the design. I've had too many previous experiences prior to my own business where that is just evident that it just does, it just goes south. And there's a good analogy of the three-legged stool when it comes to collaboration. If one's short, it's going to be wonky, and that's going to be the outcome you'll get. So, client, builder, designer working together, best possible outcome.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's just, I love that conversation because it really is about educating the clients on what things cost, and it's going to it is going to vary through the process, but it's something that I've really changed my mindset on. Like, it's not up to me what I feel is expensive. It's up to me to educate the client and sometimes the designer and architect so that the client can make a decision on what they see value in.
That's it.
That's massive.
Because every client's so different, aren't they? With the way they want to live and their budget and everything,
and what they see value in.
Correct.
I think there'd be so many clients out there that are living in homes that were never given an opportunity or educated, that probably didn't get the outcome they probably should have got.
No, that's right, definitely.
I did want to maybe circle back there, and I probably have to admit that although we don't usually take that path of contract administration, we are involved during the construction with the as-built verification. So we will be out there basically to look at, make sure the installation is installed correctly, make sure that the windows are installed correctly, and it's the right type of windows and systems. And we're blower dooring and checking that throughout that build as well. So, usually blower dooring, pre-plaster, just the external wrap, making sure that we can then provide that advice, or, there's some air leakage occurring here that can be rectified. And then, once plaster's gone, I'm just coming through with the thermal camera and making sure that, maybe the electrician's apprentice that was up in the ceiling has reinstalled the insulation as well, where it should be. So that's where we get to be on site still and learn, because, further to being in those meetings with David, I'd say more valuable to me has been being on site and seeing the construction take place and asking questions and taking my team to construction sites. Thank you for being very open to that, and letting them see how it all comes together too, because I think that I've seen a curve of knowledge just so steep there for my team that since they've been able to frequently get to site and see construction and understand it. So
I think that's huge. Like, that is so huge. And again, it's that collaboration.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's very easy to draw lines on a sheet of paper, but then how it physically goes together on site it can be very different.
And I think it'd be good, probably carpentry background, actually be involved at some stage in the design process, and even from the designers to be involved in the construction process. Maybe we should do a swap of employees there for a few months.
Toyed with that idea for a while.
So, Anthony, tell us a bit about your background, because you have been a chippy.
I have, business uni dropout, turned carpenter. Probably didn't know what I wanted to really be in life at that point, but my carpentry experience was all volume builders.
Yeah.
And when I finished my time, I went in, worked for them, and it is a eye-opening experience. You are expected to do some pretty lengthy stints without pay, come back after hours to rectify works and things that are just probably really not within the confines of what's legal, really. So that was probably maybe one of the turning points for me. I then went into skate park design and construction for a little bit, and then that's where I got into the design and was like, that's what I love, that's what I want to do. So I went back and studied for 3 years in design, and then that's where it all sort of started for me 10 years ago this year.
Yeah, wow.
For your current business? Outlier?
For my studies. The Outlier is only quite young, so it's just ticked over 3 years. And Outlier, thankfully, since its inception, has always been this way. We've always focused on high performance outcomes for homes, focusing on trying to consider waste management and resourcefulness there, and also just health. Health's probably the biggest one for us at the moment, particularly since we've started diving into the sensor side of things and seeing what impact certain things have on the indoor air quality of a home, and understanding what we can do to mitigate that and try and create the most healthy indoor environment we can. And that's probably where I'm
keen to dive
now.
into that a little bit if we got time. But so tell us, we talked before, like what's the behind Outlier? What's the reasoning for that?
So I think most people know Outlier as being let's say it's in science and as a data collection, and it's the one piece of data that's out from the rest. It's the outlier. And that's how we see ourselves, because we don't really want to prescribe to anything as such. We really want to test and make sure and verify everything we're doing. I don't want to just be told something and take it verbatim and go, yep, that's what we're doing. We want to make sure that we're doing our own research and that's what we truly do believe in. And I think the pillars of our business sort of say that. It's design, research, and educate. So that's Outlier.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I love that you're so passionate. Like, that's what I was so pumped about today.
Yeah.
Like, you two are just so passionate with what you're doing, and what drives your passion? Like,
We'll be back after a quick break.
sorry to interrupt, guys, but we've got to thank our sponsors, because without them, we can't keep delivering you this incredible podcast. So massive shout out to DPS Constructions, Quoties, Live Life Build, and 44 Gallon Films. Make sure you go and check those guys out, support them so that we can keep delivering you this incredible podcast.
I actually don't know. I've always, I guess, like as a apprentice or a chippy, always wanted to be the best builder or carpenter. And then I suppose, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. And then you want to try and build the best homes for people within their budget. So it's all about, you're trying to, just build better homes, I think. And I suppose I as a family that we do try and take on a pretty holistic sort of mindset and that sort of thing. And so I suppose that sort of helps the drive for, building better homes and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, that's ingrained into both of us, I think. That there's always just a desire to do better, and you've just got to funnel that. And so I think we've decided to funnel it in the way we have, given that we have a strong interest in design and construction as well. And then that sort of has just evolved as you learn through personal development and education about things such as high performance homes or passive house, that you see the benefits of these things, and then you start to research and educate and go, right. And then, like I said, we choose to take that approach to really dive in and look at things and assess it before making decisions of our own or putting it out there. And I think that's, probably where I'm at anyway, personally.
I think it's really important, because I don't know, might break the internet, but I think Australia's got a ridiculously low standard for housing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Yeah. So I, as part of that, as built verification, we have gone into quite a few volume built homes now. And boy, oh boy, they are not even close to what they have been assessed at on paper, let alone, I'm not there to actually assess, workmanship. That's something entirely different.
That's another conversation.
That's another conversation. But even just from, what the actual windows have been stated they are in the assessment versus what's in there. There's one project from I remember walking in and seeing 3 different insulation bats in the ceiling, let alone that half of it was probably not installed adequately or even installed at all. We've also seen that really nice photo that, has all the insulation and the ceiling still in its bags. So, I can personally say from first-hand experience that I agree with that comment. It's woeful. Like it's...
Yeah, like people really don't know what they're getting.
Yeah, that's the trouble. When people do sign up for that, they don't know what they're getting, do they? It's just that lack of education that,
they're putting their trust in companies that are just spending millions of dollars on marketing.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing as we come out of our winter down south is mould. That has become, a mass problem. I'm sure people can dive onto YouTube and have a look at some of the site inspection videos that are occurring from private building inspectors down in Victoria at the moment. But the mould in these homes is just phenomenal. We see really high relative humidity compared to even here during our winters, and that combined with human occupants within these homes and the colder conditions, it's just ripe. No ventilation strategy, which again, every home needs to have that external ventilation strategy we've touched on, but we probably haven't touched on the internal one. And I think every home should have an internal ventilation strategy as well. The old Bunnings exhaust fan that says it does however many hundreds of litres a second extraction that doesn't actually perform to that spec is not going to cut the mustard. Not in the home that we're doing today. We need to be looking at probably smart humidity fans in most homes, I'd imagine, in en-suites and bathrooms. We're a big fan of continuous mechanical ventilation, whether that's centralised or decentralised if you're budget conscious. Even decentralised systems can be quite affordable for most homes and really manage that indoor relative humidity.
They're really good for retrofits too, the decentralised. Obviously, the centralised usually require ducting in that, but
For listeners that don't know what that is, can you just touch on that? Only briefly.
Yeah, sure.
He'll talk about it all day.
You brought the right person on.
I would love to listen to this all day. Like, I think this sort of stuff is so important to get out into our industry. Like, I think there's too many builders out there just turning a blind eye, and they've never been taught it, so they just keep building the broken way that they know, and they're not taking any responsibility for it.
Yeah, and I'll even just give them the benefit of the doubt and say they actually don't know. They think that system that they're installing is fine. They don't actually know. It's not going to do what it needs to do. So continuous mechanical ventilation is our typical indoor ventilation strategy. So the reason I like it, because it removes occupant behaviour from the equation. So we don't want to rely, I don't want to always rely on people to open windows to ventilate. And even then, the National Construction Code's approach to that is that you just dilute the indoor air to a point where it's at a reasonable quality that's acceptable for human occupants. So I like the idea of being able to just remove that all out of the equation completely, have a device that's going to do it for you. Even you can keep your windows open or closed, whatever you wish, but if you've left them closed, it's got you covered. Decentralised systems are just a unit that goes through the wall. And they come typically in our climate with a heat recovery ventilation as well. So they're basically bringing cold air inside most of the time for us in winter, bringing cold air from outside inside, but before it gets into the room, it just runs it through a little exchanger with the warmer indoor air coming out. So it's just kind of warming that a little bit, creating more efficiency, which then allows us to reduce the use of auxiliary heating, like our split air systems, for example. We use those, they're quite frequent in Victoria. So that's the decentralised system that'll just go through the wall. And you might have one up one end of the house, one up the other, and it'll push in as it pulls out, or there's different systems that can circulate through. A centralised system is where you have a single unit in the home, and it'll have an intake and an extract out to the outside wall to that, and then from there it just spaghetti ducts throughout the home. When you do those systems, they're not typically an insulated duct, so they do need to be installed below the airtight and thermal layer. So that's your ceiling insulation below that, and also typically your plasterboard in most homes is your airtight layer, so it's got to be below that as well. That's where you're going to have to run a bulkhead or a drop ceiling typically to conceal all of those. And they'll run a fresh air supply to all the habitable rooms, and it'll run an extract from your bathroom, ensuite, laundry, kitchen. And that's getting rid of all that humidity and discharging it through the HRV system. And the same principles, the colder air, for example, is coming from outside in, going through the exchanger with the warm air going out and bringing that to high temperature and then bring it through into the house. They have filters in them as well. So if you're pollen affected, dust, those sort of things, or smoke particulars, you can, to some extent, filter most of that out. And, if people who are near major highways, arterial highways, have got a lot of diesel fumes or something like that, or you're in a bushland where there's a lot of burning off occurring, you might also benefit from a HEPA filter, which will help remove a lot of that from coming into the home as well.
Do you think houses, like even non-passive houses, should have this stuff in it?
Yeah, maybe not to that extent. Like they're a pretty. I like to think they're a premium product. The centralized systems. You do need to have one of those in a certified passive house. But I think the decentralized systems, like we've seen them. A humidity fan for a few $100s.
Yeah.
Decentralized HIV systems for under $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
and it's just keeping that circulation.
Yeah,
going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're just trying to control that humidity and just remove occupant behaviour from the equation, because if that relative humidity indoors is increasing, we've got surface temperature differentiations, and we're looking at mould growth, and I think there's a lot to be said for what's occurring with people's health at the moment in the homes with mould growth. So that's just one approach to trying to mitigate that a bit and reduce that. Yeah.
Oh, mate, after having Zara Dakota on a few weeks ago and hearing some of the stories, like they're now like saying a lot of health issues are being caused by the homes we live in, whether it's bloody transmission from electrical waves and things, or like shit in your carpet, or like even just the gases that are getting emitted from the products we're using. Like
and I think a lot of homes get caught in this grey area of, originally homes were built to be quite drafty, and then as performance improved, we're getting caught in this gap that you're not getting enough ventilation. That's where you get that condensation issue, and then that's where you will have to ventilate your home through mechanical ventilation, that sort of thing. And I think
you can have standalone systems that are, the HEPA charcoal filtered systems, but again, I think that still relies on human interaction, occupant interaction to turn on and off. Whereas with these other systems, they're on all the time. Low draw, very energy efficient. I think we equated it to the centralized system, like to 2 or 3 LED downlights of power consumption or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And they've got boost functions, so when you go for a shower, you hit a switch and it'll flick it onto a higher volume of extraction to try and get that out, that extra humidity out as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
and stabilise. So that's a whole probably other topic of discussion as well. Sorry, yeah.
That's no, mate. I think it's like you've got a pretty lot of experience from your background, and like having that carpentry knowledge, I would imagine helps you a lot in your design.
I've always wondered if how to what extent. I've never been able to put any sort of percentage or number on it, but it'd have to. It would. For me, I can visualise exactly how that goes together, and I get it. Often David and I probably, if anyone was to listen on some of our conversation, be like, what the hell are those two talking about? But, we're just talking in our language, and we get it. So it must, yeah.
And Dave, you've had tell us a little bit about your business, because you haven't always been running a good show.
No, so it's been a bit of a struggle since venturing on my own. So originally I was in a bit of a partnership with another guy, and I wouldn't really call that like a business. We were just a couple of young lads run a carpentry crew, and then got my building registration, but there was no real systems and processes involved with it. We were just 2 lads doing our thing. Anyway, we parted ways for whatever reason, going back about 5 years ago, and at that time I just had my first son. And I've gone from a life that, just married, you do what you want when you want, to having my son, and absolutely love my children. But it just completely, changed your time you have, and that's the thing. It's all dedicated to work and kids and that. And then, to part ways with the business partner. And then at that similar stage, my wife got put in a induced coma. Just had a sodium imbalance. She's all fine now, by the way. But
all right, mate.
So it was pretty intense sort of time. And at that current time, the business was parting ways, new son, wife induced coma, fully breastfed son. So it was like 48 hours, we've got this screaming, son wanting milk and that sort of thing, to deal with that. And, there was no cash flow left in the business. The whole process was just a struggle. And like, you do know there's people, in third world countries worse than you, but at that time you just don't see it. And then,
mate, I'm keen to know how you got out of this, because that's a pretty tough position to be in.
Yeah, like to be honest, it's probably guys like you, Dwayne, have got me out of that. Like it's just, you know, like I'm keen to like improve, just not myself but the business as well. So it was just like it definitely didn't happen overnight. It was just a gradually daily thing that you know keep getting up each day. I was like a sponge on social media and YouTube and Spotify and that sort of thing, just trying to take up any content you can and that. And it was just a gradual thing to improve myself and the business and that. Like, so for me, like the personal development, like as far as just not just business, but my mindset and that sort of thing. Like I've sort of tried the whole guided meditation thing, but I've never really worked for me, but I like mindfulness. So like for now, it's, you know, I get up early, sit in front of the wood heater for half an hour and have a coffee and just sort of just man the coffee. And then in summer, it's sit outside and, you know, on the deck and have a coffee and that sort of thing. So that's sort of
something about watching a fire, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's amazing fire. And I think all exercise has always been there for me. I really enjoy exercise, and it's not just about the body. I think that's about the mind, like the endorphins that releases in your body and that sort of thing. Has been good, and then just other sort of development sort of stuff and that sort of thing personally, and that's been really good for me. And that so
how did Ecowise start, mate? So you've obviously, like, that name just resonates with what you're doing. So you've obviously have a passion for what.
Yeah. So going back a few years, not long after I started the carpentry business with the other guy, I did a HRA Green Smart course, and that was a 2-day introduction into sustainability and better performance, high performance homes. And I sort of walked away from that like, oh, well, like how come everyone just isn't focusing on the simple thing of orientation and, you know, having correct shading and that sort of thing. Like it doesn't cost any extra to build a house if you twist it 30 degrees to get the correct orientation. Like So to me, it was like a no-brainer. And as I sort of said earlier, like I probably have a bit of a passion for like a sort of holistic sort of mindset and that sort of thing with basic permaculture and hobby farming and that sort of thing. So, and then it's sort of just, it's been a gradual development, sort of, you know, done other courses, done the tradies passive house course and that sort of thing, and just numerous scrolling through YouTube, following the build show in America, Matt Reisinger and Jack Brereton, that sort of thing, just getting inspiration off them and that. So, that's it. And again, it's just been a slow process. It's, you know, I think it's been about 5 years since I've started Ecowise Homes, and I think for me, like it may look at times on the outside that things are working 100% glossy, and I always had this aspirations for the business to be just like 100% no issues, everything working perfectly. But I don't think, correct me wrong, you might have a 100% perfect business, but there's still stuff that does go wrong. Like it's only minor, but like it's always, when you deal with humans every day, there's always going to be human error, and that's the thing. Like it's
I think look, our business, I think I'm just so keen for growth now. I'm constantly there's always something to improve on. And look, I think, like we touched on before, like I truly believe there is no business as hard as a building business. For a start, I believe we're two, like you're the site business and then you're the off-site business. And there's just so many moving parts. You're dealing with designers and architects, the client, trades, employees, all your suppliers, contractors. Like there is so many moving parts that every single day have to come together, and then that obviously just expands the more jobs you have on. But I'm at a point, mate, where I want the business to be boring. So I don't mind if there's a few little fires to put out. But if it's boring, it actually means it's working really well. And I actually think I got caught up with it for a while, and I think as humans we do. Like, you want some drama, like a lot of people feed off the drama. And like I know I've got probably in the last 12 to 18 months, like I can catch myself thinking like, what's going on? Like why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't that happened? Because it's
all sorted out.
But that hasn't happened overnight. That's But that's my goal now. If the business can be boring, it means it's running well.
Like it is. I think things do run fairly smoothly on my job sites. It's just like there's just minor things, and for whatever reason, it's probably my OCD coming out that I do just want things to run 100% perfect, but it's, you know, as long as it's 99 or, you know, 95, that's fine, I guess, isn't it?
I'd probably realise that like talking about collaboration again here, but not just with the design and construction, but business development too. Like that's another thing that we've been able to share. Although, they might be slightly different business models, we still talk and compare notes with our project management software programs that we use and how to best implement those. We use similar ones. So we've got some, some things to sort of correlate there. Forecasting, you name it, like all of those things that you should be doing in business, like we're able to communicate with each other there on that business side of things. Mental health has been a big one that we've both implemented heavily in our businesses.
How do you deal with that?
Well, the first thing I did was introduce an EAP or an employment assistance program. For a very small fee, you can have third-party service providers be there at the fingertips of your employees or team members or even contractors and their extended family to get help when they need it. They might be going through a rough patch in life, so they can reach out to a service provider who specialises in mental health and wellbeing and guide them through here or refer them in the right places that they need to go to get help. So that's probably the biggest thing we did. We've had presentations from certain people as well on mental health and, indicators, like how do you know when, you've hit that stress level or burnout and how to tell and just giving the tools then to be able to work with that to our team and those presentations. That's been pretty pretty cool
was
to
great
do, actually.
You invited me to that day. It was amazing. We went to the office and the guy spoke, Michael.
I'm loving sitting here listening to you guys because it reminds me, like the architects, designers we work with, we have the same relationship, and I'm constantly telling other builders like you've got to. You've got to build a relationship. Like, don't just get on Instagram and look for the designers and architects doing all the glossy photo jobs. Like, it's got to be personal. Like, I feel like you two are like that's where you guys are at. Like, and that's why you're having so much success.
I think so. Like, it's it all went relatively smoothly. I think the design process and through into construction, that's the thing, and it is because the conversations we have is phenomenal about a project.
And there's that feeling that you've got support. So early on, I'd walk into a client meeting and it might be, there's just something that you're just not looking forward to having that discussion around, probably budget. But you walk in with your team, and by that I mean, David's present and we've got each other, and you don't feel that way. You know that you can work through it. It's not as big a, it doesn't seem like it's such a big mountain or task to get done. That feels cool when you've got, not just a team working towards that best possible outcome, but also the support throughout that process, that project and process as well. That's been pretty. I remember there was a moment where I reflected on a meeting we had, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that felt good." I didn't feel alone in that meeting, not one bit.
That's good.
So,
do you guys like? How do you work through the process? Do you like? We make it a rule that everybody's copied into everything.
Definitely.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah, my email is just CC'd from Outlier Studios, just constantly.
I've given my team permission to just directly just go for it. So,
but it's good. Like I really enjoy. Like I like it. Like a lot of them, I just skim over. But it's
same thing. You don't reply, but you just have a quick look through, and
there may be one thing that you might go, oh shit, I might just comment on that and just sort of put my 2 cents worth in, and like. Give some advice.
I think a really good thing you guys do is you do that little @ and then you put my name. So it's like you can scroll through an email, but then you can see instead of just writing David Millard to respond this, it's got @ David Millard to respond, and then it's bright blue. So it's like, oh, hang on, here we go. This is a call to action here. We need to do something.
Well, that's what it is. It's like, we know you're busy. Like, we just want to give you, if there's an important thing that needs a call to action. That's it. That's exactly what it is. Hopefully it works.
It definitely works.
So what? I think all three of us are very much on the same page. Like I'm really focused on educating myself, doing a lot more homework, and delivering my clients healthier homes. But do you guys think that's a sort of way of the future?
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And healthier homes, right there. That's got to be probably like where I'm at right now. That's how can we achieve that in every one of our projects, and then how can we educate others to do that in their projects? Because there's a lot of homes that are being built that are not healthy for the occupants. I
think too with the healthy home thing, and what we're doing with the hybrid home is using the anti-con blanket on the roof, which is relatively cost effective compared to a ventilated roof cavity. Is that if there is a whisker of condensation in the anticon, and it does get a little bit of mold up there. It's not like a mold in your bathroom that your kitchen or your living area that you're breathing every day. Who cares all the way up in your roof if you have a tiny, and I'm not saying we do, but if you do, it's definitely not the end of the world. Like, so that's where I think the anticon for me is like, we can design and build homes that are healthy, that you know, got the HRV blowing in and extracting, you know, blowing out stale air, extracting fresh air in. So it's that's for me a big thing, I think. With
and I've got to be,
I
think we probably need to be careful, like with my language around healthy home too, because it means so many different things to so many different people. Like certain people I know who have had high levels of mold sensitivity, others haven't. I know, you know, just from Adapt, when we've spoken on our podcast, like he said that his family they had to move out. His wife was hospitalised due to that mold sensitivity. Whereas he's like, others may not have. You know, that wasn't for them a healthy home. They might have been able to tolerate that and be fine. Whereas someone else may have. I know Zara's touched on the electromagnetic field and Wi-Fi, and those sort of things can be quite interruptive to people's lives in their sleep patterns, and so it can mean different things.
Yeah, you're right. Because I suppose people, like, we use low VOC, like water-based paints, and oil-based, and that's low VOC. But then people would probably frown upon us because we're not using natural, you know, paints, that sort of thing. And
that's what it is for me. Like, it's doing homework on every product we're using and like figuring out. Like, for me, it's the whole, right from where, like, how it's manufactured, how it's transported, like what it's going to do long term. Like, I know there's a lot of products out there. Like, when I was doing my passive house course, like through school, high school, like, I was a shy guy at the back, never put my hand up for anything, and it's something I really regret because I could have learnt and known a lot more. But now I do. Like, if I'm somewhere, I want to put my hand up. But I did the online passive house course, and I wanted to do it to grow my knowledge, but just see what it was all about. And for the first 2 days, I just sat there and bit my tongue, and like, all these products they're talking about were horrible for the environment. Like, lots of PVCs and foam products and shit. And I put my hand up on the third day and said, "Oh, look, don't take this the wrong way. I just want to ask the question. Like, passive house is fantastic and everything, and you're pushing it that it's more sustainable, it's better for the environment and things, but everything that I'm seeing you're putting into it, like, it's 3 times as much material, and then a lot of the materials are terrible for the environment. They can't be recycled, and they've got. So what if they've got a 50-year lifespan? Like, how's that good for the environment? And it stumped them a bit. They didn't really know how to answer my question, and they thought about it and they come back to me, but. And same deal. It's all driven by budget. So, like, to build a healthy passive home, the cost would be astronomical because the products you have to use are really, really expensive. So, for me, it's just about educating myself on everything and then sort of making for me, it's about giving my clients the option.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest thing.
And as you were saying earlier, the clients value different things, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, you know, some clients would value a natural paint or, you know, or natural products inside, where another client would be like, no, I don't want that. I don't care too much about it. Just do this, like, you know.
Like, us as professionals, like, educating ourselves so that we can have those conversations with our clients, and I guess make them aware, teach them about what they're, like, if they're asking questions about things, give them options. And then working together as a team to come up with the best solution, because every client will have a different healthy home value.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. I mean, you make your clients aware and you give them the options to choose, and you're fine with that, right? Like, you've given them everything you can, and I think it's also probably important. And I wanted to say this today is, like, for everyone listening, be kind to yourself. You know, it is a freaking minefield out there. There is a lot of information getting passed around at all times. Don't get disheartened in your journey right now. Like, be kind to yourself. You're doing freaking awesome. Because I know I've felt like that many times, where, like, you can't be expected to know it all. I know you want to provide the best and be the best you can be, but just sometimes it's that's enough. Like, to do the best you can and you know,
I think
that time.
I see today, I don't know all the answers. Like, it's, you know, we're still learning our journey, and that's the thing as well. So it's a minefield out there, and there's a lot of different agendas out there as well, isn't there? Like it's
huge. And well, look, there is so much money in our industry. Like, so it's hard to know if something's getting pushed for the right reasons.
It is, yeah. I mean, on that note, we do have a couple of certified passive house projects, and funnily enough, one is using those typical products that you're referring to, and one is actually looking at all these alternative products that are basically have a cradle to the grave solution, so natural based, and they do come at a higher price point. Given in that occasion, it's a very small footprint. The budget, if most people saw that, would be expecting a home in a far bigger scale. But for that client, that was what they wanted to achieve, and it's it has got a lot of those products in it. And I mean, I don't think there is anything synthetic at all. Joinery. I take that back. Joinery. Yeah.
But look, again, I don't know everything about everything. Like maybe, they're saying those products got a 50-year lifespan. Maybe they'll last 200 years. Like
you don't know.
You don't know. No, they haven't been around long enough to know.
Yeah.
I do like that is one of the things that comes with what we do, though, is durability. I mean, bulk water is still number one, let's be honest. I don't think I've ever prioritised that differently. That's our main focus first and foremost, is making sure that house is not going to have water coming in anywhere, and then ensuring that the practices that we implement and the little details that we do, providing.
So we take on
durability
with this hybrid process or hybrid home is it's not so much passive house based. It's probably a bit more like American building science approach that you can probably go for the building science.
Yeah, so I mean, well, again, there's usually I think 4 components to that, and it is bulk water at number one.
Yeah,
is building science something that, because to be honest, I've only heard that term getting used in Australia probably in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
probably Anthony's freaking it.
Probably. No, there's a few people that I won't name, but who have been well aware of this, have science backgrounds, and well aware of this for a lot longer than that, but probably haven't had the platforms that we have now to do that, or have chosen not to put themselves on those platforms because they're too busy kicking ass doing great things. But I agree. But the 4 things that we look at: bulk water, air tightness, vapor or moisture, and then thermal. Insulation is always at the bottom, whichever way you look at it is importance. I think that's probably your approach too.
So I think for me, like the bulk water is like, apart from the home that fell over in Sydney not long ago, there's not too many homes that fully have structural fallover. So to me, as a builder, I'm not overly concerned about structure, but I believe water will kill your home before
100%.
structure. So and the bulk water, that includes coming in from the roof from Foley flashings, and that also includes your water membranes and waterproofing membranes internally. So that's one thing. And for me, with my background as a builder, I spent a lot of time initially doing large new homes, and then worked in the renovation space for a fair while. And the number of renovations, extensions we did that you'd pull off the vanity, and in behind there it's just mould and just water damaged old hardwood floors, just been soaking there for years. And so and that's bulk water, making sure your waterproofing's all up to scratch and that's the thing, and well and truly above what I call the code and that's the thing. So
man, I can't believe in this. Master Builders actually sent us some documents last week. It's like we've been waiting to get all this information on these changes that are coming in October, and they sent a heap of good stuff. But I can't believe they're only just making it standard that in wet areas it has to be the entire share area waterproofed and not just the internal corner and the fixings. Like, what the fuck?
It's so wrong.
No one in their right mind should be doing that.
Yeah, why has that not been a standard forever?
It should have been.
But we've always done the whole area.
Tank the whole thing.
Why would you not do that?
And the hard thing, the thing about waterproofing, you could do the really good job, but you take so much liability in your trades, like your tiler. It only takes an apprentice tiler to come in, nick something like your waterproofing with his trowel, not care, and then you're buggered. But obviously it comes back to getting good tradesmen. That's the thing. So the waterproofing is so critical. Yeah, so critical.
I always enjoy walking in and seeing a water stop this far short of where it should be.
And just all
where that's going to go.
So where to from you guys from here? Is this these hybrid homes that you're building with the plasterboard, like, is that something that is it happening with other builders? Like,
Yeah. So we work with we work across a few states with different various builders implementing these same practices, and it's I think we're just. I suppose it's always going to be David and I probably at the forefront of that and developing that, and providing what we've learnt to others who want to adopt it as well. And that's probably something that will continue to always evolve and grow and work out how we can simplify construction detailing but still have the same outcomes, performance outcomes, and try and do it as affordably as possible.
Yeah. So at the moment we only have the one project finished that way, and we're lock-up stage of the second one, and throughout the whole, show, I'm like, hey, Anthony, do you mind if I could change this so, that can be a bit more easier in that way? Like, that works. Yeah, do that. And like other times, like, oh, yeah, just be cautious, mate. So it's really good that, like, we are, the way we built that home and the way we built the second one, and I don't know the way you built it, I think I've framed a home up differently every time. But it's like I'm always trying to do things a bit different and improve the processes and be quicker and more efficient. That's the thing, and that's like with the way we want to build these homes. That is to get to a point. It's just really
if we're talking about a detail and we think there's a risk of something like moisture or something, I'm usually on there doing like a moisture analysis or something. Like, oh, yep, hey, cool, that's cool, let's do it. It could just be even energy efficiency related. I think there's some bloody great tools out there. We've got NatHer software and Design PH. Typically, we can jump in there and just see what the impacts of those things might be. So it's great to be able to just do that and just give that live feedback and just keep it moving. But I think from us, moving forward, we're going to be bloody mates, I think, for life. And,
that's right, yeah.
And it'll just be a continual development. Maybe it'll be...
We'll just talk to anyone who wants to listen to us talk.
We're getting better at getting in front of the camera and in front of a microphone and talking about this stuff. But I think we've got to a point now where we've got that first one we've done. We've got the sensors in it. We can talk about this with confidence now. As I said, like, we put such a high value on making sure that we've done our own research, we've done our own testing before we sort of say, hey, this is what we think. And that's where we're at now. We've got it. We've got one there that we can say, yep, in that climate zone, in this situation, this is the results. It's working. It's doing great things, and we're just going to keep taking it from there, I think.
So, Anthony, you've touched a few times while we've been talking about you go to site and you check details and things, and I think you mentioned that you do inspections and stuff. So it sounds to me like you're all about the detail.
Yeah, very detail focused.
Lots of detail.
Yeah, I do.
But I think that's fantastic, because I feel, again, back to what we touched on before, like tendering scenario, taking the cheapest price, the designer or architect gets left out of the picture and the client goes off and builds a house with the cheapest quote, and then they substitute and change everything and throw the plans out the window.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is an area where clients need to be more educated, because they don't know what they don't know. And then once the designer or the architect's out of the equation, the builder runs the show.
Yeah.
And so many builders are, because they're going, they don't know their overheads, they don't know their profit margins, they haven't quoted the job properly. From start to finish, they're trying to screw things and change things wherever they can to pull some more money back.
Oh, run out of labour halfway through their build, and you can only imagine what's about to happen now. You've got to. I think that probably is one of the disclaimers with what we're doing here, is that you do need to be checking. You need to have that little bit of labour component in the construction for the communication, for the observation, for the testing. But in my opinion, the testing and those things is it's just got to be a non-negotiable. How do you know what you're getting if you're not checking it?
Yeah. So is that do you charge like a per visit fee for that or do you have a fixed fee that's included in your design fees? Like, how's all that work?
Yeah, so I made the decision maybe 6 to 12 months ago to just put it into my fee proposal for the design. So the as-built verification is just in as part of our fee now.
Yeah.
And if it was someone, say, who's building with, XYZ builders around the corner, and they've gone, hey, we've had this design done, we've got this builder on board, they don't really know what's going on. Well, they can choose to just have the blower door testing done, or they can choose to have blower door or thermal camera done, or they can have the whole as-built verification. And what we use as our benchmark or template for the as-built verification is an energy rating. or probably not going to be required for the passive house side of things because the certification process is heavily documented anyway, but it's a NatHERS assessment, which is I think 90-something% of homes are assessed that way. And we just make sure that what that's been assessed at is what's occurring. There's new things coming in. I know with the draft certificates that are produced from NatHERS software from First Rate 5, they've got an as-built checklist, optional, but still, it's there. We're seeing really cool things coming into NatHERS assessments with air tightness and blower door testing as an optional sort of unregulatory mode thing. So you can start to see the impacts of what air tightness can do to the performance of a home. We've also, I've seen Hero just announce, which is one of the NatHERS software packages, everyone, it's now looking at making assumptions on the occupant's thermal comfort and how that's going to work. And so it's going to go places. There was a great presentation by Matthew Cutler-Walsh from New Zealand Green Building Council there. He's developed a equivalent of kind of NatHERS over there, and it's phenomenal. It's kind of backed off of the back of PHPP or Passive House Planning Package, but, it's got to be for the masses here too. We can't, it's got to work to what we do in Australia and our practices and how we do things and go about it. And I'm hoping as a part of that, it will sort of see the quality of builds lift a bit too.
Do you get kickback from builders? Like if you go out to site and do inspections, do you find things that they haven't done right and you get kickback from them? They don't want to fix it all.
Yeah. It's you don't know sometimes what you're about to walk into. Yeah. There's been some pretty standoffish events where we've kind of just got done what we've had to get done and just reported back. And, thankfully there hasn't been anything more than that. But, it certainly has them nervous. When like the general managers just walking, pacing out the front with 3 other leading hands out the front of the building site when you're blower door testing and thermal cameraing, what's up. So.
But, because, I imagine that there's a lot riding on it. The builder may not be needs a cash flow or needs a payment or something, and the payment won't come until you've signed off on certain things. It could be a pretty tricky situation.
Yeah, and anyone who's thinking about doing something like what we provide as a service, just talk to us. We're actually there to help. We've had one where the first few visits were pretty similar experience. Very standoffish, barely get a word out, just watch you like a hawk. By the time we were, blower door testing, we were helping them find the leakage and fixing it and rectifying it. We're there to actually assist and help build and learn how to do these things better and build better. Yeah. Or I should say, in their eyes, they probably build exceptionally well, but, improve on those energy efficiency side of things and those little details that they may not have even known about, like air tightness and things like that. So
I think I want to talk about a few things or get your guys' opinions on it. And again, I don't know, maybe I'll open a can of worms, but
go for it.
I have all these weird theories. My brain doesn't stop. I'm always thinking about shit. But after I did that passive house course, and I was like, man, is it it's adding more materials in? It's using all these other products and things. Do we as humans just need to take more ownership? Because I feel like our expectations of what we should have are skyrocketing, and I feel like, why isn't it a little bit more old school? Why do our houses have to do what we should be we can do? So if it's cold, go and put on a jumper.
Yeah.
If it's too hot, open a few windows and doors, get some breezes through.
Life's very comfortable these days, isn't it?
Actually, that's the word, probably the word I'm looking for. We have all become very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I believe we expect other things to do what we could do, which in return would cut down on construction materials, cut down on waste, cut down on costs.
I think it comes to the size of homes too. Australia's the second in the world.
I think it fluctuates between number 1 and number 2. Yeah.
But anyway, it's out of us in America have the biggest homes in the world.
Yeah.
Do we need such a big ensuite? Do you need such a big master bedroom? I think if you can shrink that footprint of your home, obviously cost and then also materials, that's the thing for sustainability and that. And you're right, it comes back to what mankind expects these days, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, God, if only we could just make everyone accountable, right? I agree with that.
Because that's another thing I'm really leaning towards is just smaller is better. Smaller, better built, better designed.
Yeah.
That would be, my dream too. Like smaller is better, in my opinion, and we can achieve higher, just better quality all around, and better outcomes. But
like in a home, I'm a big fan of like a multi-purpose room.
Yeah.
So you could be, instead of just having an independent lounge room and then a guest bedroom and a study, combine those three together in one decent sized room. That, like, how often do you want to be in a study and the guests there at the same time? And if it is that one night or 2 nights a year, just go out on the kitchen table and do your office work or your admin sort of stuff, and that's the thing. So I think like creative design, and you guys do it very well. It's about shrinking sizes of homes, and instead of if you got whatever figure that you want to build your home, and you do need to reduce things, don't reduce the performance, reduce the size to
It shits me like so much of it. I believe is driven. Like it's a bit of the keeping up with the Joneses sort of mentality, but also I think probably one of the biggest drivers is like real estate values. Yeah. Like we know we've had a few jobs where clients have wanted to do the smaller is better, and then they get the valuation. The valuer is like, you've got to have 3 bathrooms, you've got to have 4 bedrooms, like if in this area. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we had a good example of that this week from a client.
Yeah,
and their feedback from the valuer who did from their bank was that the market is not ready for a home like this. Which they of course completely disagree with, but it just goes to show that one person's opinion is having so much sway in the outcome of this. I'm also a realist. I understand that we can't all be like-minded. We can't all see the same, have the same desires or expectations. I guess that's where I always take that approach of like just try and remove the human behavioural part of that. And then it kind of gives me a bit more of a level playing surface to work with. But I personally open my window and I put my range hood on at home. I'm aware of these things. I actively live in my home. I'll say actively live in my home. Where most people don't, nor do they want to. Social media is one of my gripes. I think there's a lot to be said for its influence on people and what their expectations are and culture. So we had Sandra work with us, who is German. And she never had any desire or any thoughts around home ownership in her entire life until she came to Australia. It just was something that was not, it wasn't there for them. It was the market had already ballooned long ago, and those price points were so high that it was just unattainable, and rental was just how it would be. Whereas here, she was blown away by how it is looked at as a commodity and sale and buying and selling and profiting in Australia. So there's probably a cultural thing there too, just based on my lived experience with people who have moved from overseas to Australia.
Yeah, because it's like all the homework and the stuff I look into, and I'm a bit like David, I do spend a lot of time on YouTube, probably too much. There's some great stuff on there, but like you see what they're doing in Europe with the smaller homes, and I'm a really big fan of modular. Like I think the way they build prefab and the quality of the builds is amazing.
Yeah. So one of the other things that David and I do is we get on the road a lot. We go have a look at these factories and we see what's being produced there and how they're going about it. And the prefab stuff that we're seeing from certain components in builds is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Quality.
Is this from Melbourne companies?
Melbourne. Or they're interstate, some of them. But they've got a factory like in regional areas in Victoria or maybe Melbourne based. And, if they're a supplier of ours, we want to go say hello. See what's going on and how those products are being made and the quality assurances that we're getting. Service is probably already there and that's well stated if we're using them. But, we just want to sort of see what else is going on behind the veil. And most of the time, we're probably, our expectations are probably well beyond what we were expecting. And but that's prefab stuff is phenomenal.
I know you've got a lot of interest in the prefab.
I'm personally working towards that. That's a goal of mine. I think that's one of the ways that we can achieve what we've been talking about. Around quality assurances, healthy homes, choosing those components in stable environments within spaces that we can control. We don't have to worry about weather or water making its way in during construction and then being a problem later on. I've spoken with a company in Germany personally, and then we're working towards seeing how we can introduce that sort of into our design process and roll that out as well with builders around the country. So.
Oh, mate, if they can do it over there where houses literally sit on top of each other and side by side, and you see some of these videos where they're getting these semis and cranes down these tiny little laneways. Like, why can we not do it here?
Yeah.
Like,
I've questioned that so many times, and there's Matt Scanlon is a builder that I speak with a lot on this. He's very invested in doing this as well, and we haven't got an answer for it. Why are we not able to do it here? There's some great.
It's always struggled, hasn't it, here in Australia?
well, it's got to come. I think a lot of the time it comes to cost. Like for some reason, everything just becomes uneconomical here. I don't know. Maybe over there because they
labour, is it? Labour component or something, is it?
Yeah, maybe it's because we over there they don't have the space we have, so it's just a lot cheaper to do things in a factory. Like here, we tend to do a lot of things on site because we've always got room to do things.
True.
But
I'm
not sure.
I suppose there's also a lot that just go unannounced. Like I just forgot, like Bendigo, where we're based, is one of probably the biggest prefab builders in the country, but no one's ever heard of them, and they don't really focus so much on residential. They're doing these big school type office complexes, but they're modular. They're going out on trucks. There's others in regional Vic who are focusing on homes as well, and they might have 6 to 8 or something homes under construction under that one roof at any time, but they just probably go a bit unannounced. I don't know. There's plenty that go under as well, and we've seen that over the last couple of years with a few of the major players liquidating, and unfortunately, so I'd like to know why with those ones particularly. Like, what was it that got you to that point? Why wasn't it successful?
Yeah, no, there is, like, again, only see them on Instagram and stuff. There is some really, there's one here in Brisbane, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they're doing some really cool stuff with modular.
Yeah, nice.
I have just seen that. Recent award winners?
Yeah.
I have had a look. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, like they look, when they're on site, they do not look like they're a modular home. Like they look like they are something that's been built on site, 100%. Like, so, I think there's good people trying to do some good things, but look, guys, I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you want to touch on before we get out of here? Nothing we haven't covered?
No, I'm
no more
pretty content,
business success stories you want to talk about, Dave? Any struggles?
No, like as I was saying, like going back that 5 years, at a certain time of life was a struggle, but then it's been such a slow process. Like it's just, I know I did a job once and it just, for whatever reason, didn't click the one in my spreadsheet for overheads. So I did the whole job knowing you didn't equate for overhead. So, you virtually know that job, you're going to break even on, and then that's it. So it's like there was a extension that was probably like 7 months sort of project and that sort of thing. And so it's just that constant improving, evolving, and even just, like I know I've learned this of you, is you track your time and that sort of thing. And so it's getting that history of time on jobs to then know, all right, hang on, I need to adjust it on this job. And then doing that after a few years, you have all this history. So then going forward, you're like, all right, hang on, I'm pretty sweet now. Like all these jobs are starting to run pretty smoothly and we're starting to get things sorting out, which is really good. And then obviously coronavirus coming and price increases didn't help that. But,
well, that's where the collaboration process has been like undeniably beneficial. Is when things are fluctuating and moving like that much volatility in, all the pricing, like, you need that team.
I know you navigate this way, but I found it was hard doing the pre-construction stuff throughout the pandemic with price increases. I do my sort of first round of the feasibility costing, and your project's going to cost X amount. No worries, designers keep designing, continuing on, structural drawings, whatever. Price it again, boom. Oh, how the hell are we going to sell this to the client?
Mate, we had 3, and I still feel bad for it. Like our process has worked like clockwork for so long, and then I think the last 6 months of 22 were the hardest because the price increases were reasonably steady, and then they just I don't know why they just seemed to take off, and we had 3 jobs that went through like first round estimates, made it to second round, got to third, and then were ready for their last final. Client selected everything, ready to go, but in a 2, 3, 4 month period, the time it took to finalise engineering, get certification, get everything wrapped up so that we could actually present our final costings, they went up 18, 22, 24%.
Yeah.
And it just became unfeasible for clients to do.
You're probably the same as me, but my nature in that, like throughout the sales process, jump on board, we can ensure your project stays on budget and that sort of thing. And for me, as a builder in that, like I took it so hard that I was like, let these people down that, priced it and then it's gone up again, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, like for mental, like it was a bit of a hit for me. Something like,
oh mate, I felt terrible. I felt absolutely terrible.
Yeah. But all the clients, understand that thing, and the media probably helped us in that. I reckon with all the the news of price increases and that sort of thing. That everyone was aware of it, and it wasn't just Dave from Ecowise Homes talking BS. Like,
our clients, like all three of them, actually said to us like, they already knew like before. We even like now, but it worked good through COVID. But like we have we're constantly in contact with our clients. Yeah. So even if like we've told them, righto, this round of costing is going to take 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, nice, every, I don't know, 6 to 8 days, like we just send an email and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. Yeah. This is what's going on. And so through COVID, we were. A lot of those emails were saying, hey, we've just received. So one of our hardwares actually that we use, they really helped us out. So they're actually sending out almost on a monthly basis.
Yeah, we're getting monthly price increases,
Yeah, but they were sending a list of every supplier that they sold and how much they went up.
Yeah.
So a lot of we were actually forwarding that on to a lot of our clients so the clients could see what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
And so, they even as disappointed as those three clients were, they knew it was coming.
Yeah. I definitely, when I'm doing the proposal for a client, like I say, it takes me 6 to 8 weeks to get something back to them. And I just always just check. I'm fully explaining to them, like, all right, so I've emailed your plans out to all my trades and suppliers. They're going to tender it for my process. From the back end, I'm going to start doing all the carpentry sort of stuff and then update them just so they know I've got a few quotes back. I expect others back by X date, but they're like school children. They're going to be late with their homework and that sort of thing. So I don't expect it straight away, but, just sort of try and be, transparent with them and communicate with them and that sort of thing. So,
but mate, data's huge. Like I can't recommend people enough. It's probably like the data for us as builders is like you with your as constructed drawings.
Oh, no, I collect data on everything as well. So every task that team members are working on, it's recorded and logged. If you are not collecting your data, you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's like I didn't do it forever. Yeah. Like it blows my mind that people don't do it.
Yep, it's the first point of call for any new proposal. It's everything. It's when it comes to that side of business, it's everything.
I'm really I'm super keen to hear that because I believe that like I'm on this mission to help builders, but I believe architects, designers, trade, like everyone's in the same boat. Like I reckon there's a lot of architects, designers out there that don't have a clue what it's costing to run their business.
Yeah,
no, they wouldn't. I was one of them. Yeah. So I started where everyone else did it when you start business. It probably takes you, and I think I will say one thing. What I reached out. Like there was a point where. I pretty much hit rock bottom with where things were at. Same scenario, made redundant from my role where I was. Luckily, I was registered, had all my insurances in place. I'd been working on the side for years anyway. So I took the leap. Just had, my daughter was born 3 months earlier, my first child. Renovating a house, halfway through the renovation, and this all goes down. So you're left sort of going, well, what do I do? So you have a crack. I was lucky enough to jump on a construction project with a good friend, and we went in together on that partnership on a one-off deal, and we walked away with some money, and that's what funded my business. And we basically, from there, I blew it all and through mistakes, just burnt cash, just learning the hard way. Got to rock bottom, and that's where all the personal development comes from. Because once you're in that much pain and misery, you want to change. You're going to change.
We've been talking about this. Yeah. Shay and I have been talking about this a lot lately. Like everyone that comes on the podcast, it's like why do we as humans have to get to rock bottom before we realise we got to do something?
I don't know what it is.
It's an interesting one because I definitely can vouch for that. Like for me, I think it comes back to a bit of like resilience and like. If you just go for a cruisy life, you don't build that resilience and you don't want to change things. But it's when you actually go for that hardship, it's like, it strengthens you and then you change something. And like I know for me, like go back to those, what I call maybe dark years or whatever. It was only like a few months ago I actually went flicking back through my Google Photos and looking back at that time. It's like the first time ever. It's like actually they weren't too bad. They went all right. Like it's been that hard to get through it, but now you actually look back and it's like, okay, I now know I had to go through that to become what I am now and what the business is, sort of thing. So it's they're not done. They're good.
It's your journey. You've got to look at it like that. Like if you can reflect on that and see, from a different mindset and a light now like that, that's great.
Yeah.
I think though, in reaching out to builders, I've had so much more communication and they've opened up and spoken with me. For whatever reason, I have not seen that with designers. When I've been probably blanked by more designers than I have them respond to me. Like they just, for whatever reason. But builders, I don't know if I've ever actually had one not get back to me. Whether or not it was like, I haven't got time, mate, sorry right now, or not right, not in a position right now to have a chat, whatever. But at least they've responded and gotten back. So I'll give that for whatever's going on in the construction side now with builders particularly, like you're opening up. The new generation's doing something. Yeah, there's something happening there.
There is amazing.
It's this podcast, mate.
Yeah. No, but it is seriously guys like you. Let's call you the Godfather. But like you put yourself out there. You've been vulnerable. So I was like, oh, if Dwayne Pearce can be vulnerable, I can be vulnerable. And then everyone else is doing it, sort of thing. And
mate, if anyone I still to this day get told by family members, people that know me since I was a kid, that like they cannot believe that I am doing this shit. Because and like I said before we started, this is all happening because of the messages that we've saved. You've saved my life, you've saved my family, you've saved my business. Like, but not only that, I have a feeling the three of us will I'm creating so many new mates by doing this. Like just having these conversations and being open and talking about things. I just think it's a no-brainer.
And anyone listening, especially if you're a designer, reach out. Like if you're going through anything we're talking about right now, please do, because
maybe Dwayne can set up some blind dates or something for you.
Yeah, perfect. Because I think we could benefit as well from this, and not to say that we shouldn't all be anyway, but I just speaking from experience.
But I think it comes back to just improving the industry.
Yes.
A rising tide floats all ships, and that's the thing. So, like, if we can chat between builders and you can chat between designers, it's about improving it, whether that's from a performance, to build better homes, or just profitable businesses and that sort of thing. And builders generally have a bad rap of being bad people and cowboys and that sort of thing. But I don't think we're all that way. There's some amazing builders out there that are doing some good things, and it's great that we can all chat.
I truly believe now, just from where I've come from and where I'm at, because I was a person. I believe there is thousands and thousands of incredible builders out there that get to a point where the stress of trying to keep the business alive, trying to keep paying the bills takes over.
Yeah.
And they lose the passion.
Yeah.
And when you lose the passion, you treat the clients badly.
Yeah.
You blame everybody. You blame the associations, the industry bodies, the architects, designers, the clients, like everyone. It's everybody else's fault that you've ended up in the situation you're in.
Yeah.
And it's not until you get to that point where you take ownership that shit will change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not just builders. I think it's designers and architects as well.
Yeah, it's everyone. Yeah. I mean, the synergy that we've been able to create with what we do has greatly assisted definitely me, and I hope both of us in those trialling times. You might have had a shit week, or there might be some cash flow problems because of stalls in a project or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you're running a business, or we're both running businesses, we can have those meaningful conversations regardless of whether you're a builder, designer, or any of those things.
Yeah, definitely been times I've reached out to you, and there's times you've reached out to me and saying like, hey mate, I'm pretty lean on cash flow at the moment, or this is happening, and oh mate, that's no good. You want a coffee? Yeah, hell yeah, let's go have a coffee. And
But even like we've been in the same situations, but like I'm sure you guys have done it as well, like having that collaboration. So like I know a big thing for us has been learning more about the designers and architects businesses that we're working with. Like we touched on before, like me making sure I'm not dragging the chain with pricing so that they've got a gap and having to fill it. But there's been plenty of conversations where either I made a phone call or one of our designers has called me and said, hey, mate, like our inquiry's being very quiet. Like we need some cash flow. Where you at with the pricing on those jobs? Like can we pull? And so actually, this is a good topic. Like we've found through that collaboration, and again, it's worked both ways many times, that we have the designers and architects we use, and we have one ourselves, like a bit of a forecasting sheet. So basically, as soon as a client goes into our pack process, they go into our forecasting sheet, and it'll have a time frame for the pack process, a time frame for design, each round of costings, certification, then the build. And so we can see over the next 3 years all these jobs in there. But we get a feel for, like, being involved in those design meetings, we get a feel for the client's financial situation. And so we've had very recent situations where one of our designers has called me and said, hey, judging by that meeting, that client's dragging the chain a bit. They haven't got their pre-approval on their finance and stuff. We know this client's ready to go. Like, let's pull them forward. And so we can have that conversation, and then we can both send out an email and say, hey, this is what's going on. You guys are keen. Like, we've actually got a position. We're going to pull your job forward if you guys are up for it. Oh, yeah. We thought we had to wait another 6 months. Like, yeah, no, let's go.
I know we had a conversation yesterday very similar about
we're doing exactly that. I didn't even realise the benefits of that either until you reflect on it, like in conversations now. That's massive for business owners. Massive.
So many business owners are out there thinking they're on their own. Like, and worried about, like, where's my, I can't, I've got no money, I've got no cash flow. Like,
I know, like, when I first started, I literally felt like I got my building registration and it's just like, here you go, take that, all the best. I know you're a high chance to fail, but here you go. And, like, for so long, I was just struggled, but you felt so alone. Because obviously having a great relationship with Anthony, I was just tendering on jobs, so you're just another builder. And it really was a struggle, and you felt so alone. And you talk to your wife about it. My wife's not involved in the business. She gets probably sick of me talking about work and business. And it's not until, again, like, you start, other builders start sharing content, and that's the thing. You say, hang on, I'm not alone here, and that sort of thing. And, you learn so much, I
think it's fantastic that you guys have got such a good relationship that you're you're both flown up from Melbourne. You've brought the families. And you're having a bit of a long weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, staying out at Bribey Island would be good. Yeah, we share the house together too, so it's...
our partners, Ali and Jane, are both, friends now too. So we've built something. Our children are similar ages.
Get along well.
We enjoy the same things in life. We've had similar upbringings, we're both farm boys from the country in regional Vic. And here we are from that to this, it's phenomenal. And I think we both have taken a moment to reflect on that today. I'm very grateful,
it really is amazing I know the whole, hybrid thing, I definitely could not create it by myself. Not a hope in the hell. And I think it's a collaboration, like together, the power of us together with not just us, any builder and designer is so powerful, and client. But if it's, everyone's working in silos by themselves, it's there's no communication. It's very hard.
I would say for anyone out there that's listening that's wanting to collaborate, like, you don't make it about the, like, I know when I was back in the day running a shit show, like, I would go and chase work for architects, designers, because I wanted to do the big flashy house, or I wanted to get the more higher dollar clients or whatever it was. But it's got to be personal. Like, 100%
it's
has
similar
to be
to,
personal.
like, the client, isn't it? Like, as far as, like, you want to work for that client that's a good client to work for. You want to work for the designers that are good people to work for, that if you're doing a job and, you work for the designer, they might say, no, you got to change that. It's like, there's nothing documented in the plans. Like, well, no, you just got to change it. But at least, like, if you got a good relationship, you can say, like, that's, not right, but, let's chat through it together, sort of thing, and, everything works out well. Like,
And it's not always the best fit, Like, we've been able to, we're fortunate enough to have that great synergy, and it's worked great. But, there's occasions where you may not be able to see or have similarities or a relationship that's something to continue on with. And that's fine. That's just life in general. So don't get too downhearted on that as well. If you've tried and it didn't work that time, like, it will. It will work.
Do you guys... we're going to end up going all night here. But anyway, we'll wrap it up soon. No point stopping. It's good value. Do you guys, because I know one of our designers, Aaron Wales, like, him and I have ended up being good mates, lots of similar interests, fishing, four-wheel driving, camping and stuff. And so him or I will quite often get questions. Oh, is Aaron the only one you work with? Like they think we're like, I don't know, we're gonna gang up against them or something. But
I do have clients who ask me like, do you work with other designers and outlines? So yeah, I do work with other designers, but I don't recommend any other designers. And not that there's other bad designers. I just the only ones that in our area that specialise in high performance is you. Like
we do work with. We've got a a vast array of different builders that we work with. I would say that it's just David and myself started together. We worked through this together, and that's probably why. And most of our projects to begin with were all, we're working together.
So I only need a couple of projects a year as a bit like a builder to be profitable, where he needs a lot more design projects. So I always say he's been disloyal and sleeping with other builders, and that's it.
So no, if you're interested in collaborating or at all in a builder or a designer, I'm open to talking. Open to chatting for sure. I think that's probably also one of our attributes is that we get to work with so many different amazing builders who are doing different things and have different ideas and construction practices and different ways to achieve these outcomes. And that's just an added bonus for us to, learn more and develop quicker in those skill sets. So I welcome it. It's not that I'll ever not work with David at all. Yeah.
So how are you still on the tools, mate? Or are you?
Yeah. So I'm running a small business. I aim just to do a couple of homes a year and that's the thing. So it's probably 50-50, bit of office work, meetings, and then still on the tools. I love it on site. Absolutely love it on site. And it's, it's something that I think I'm really big on systemising the business, but that's more so about just streamlining it. And, I suppose growth, definitely wants to come, but it wants to be just gradual. And the biggest thing my fear of is potential growth growing too fast and losing control. Like I like the idea of a really good finished product, but then also that really professional service. And so that's why I'm sort of just nice and steady and focused.
So who have you got in your team?
Yeah, so I've got a lead chippy, Das, who's absolutely amazing. Definitely one of the best chippies I know. And then another Seb, another chippy, and then Dan, a material age apprentice. So just the three boys on site. Myself, that does pretty much the office work. I have a bookkeeper, just on a retainer. She does all the sort of bookkeeping side of things and that. So a pretty small crew, but that's the way I like it at this stage at least. So
I think it's just a builder's thing, eh? Like you just love being on site.
Oh, I just love the feeling of strapping the nail bag on and just doing a day's work. It's just something about it. I don't know.
I think it's all the banter with the team and the mucking around and just I don't know. I don't get any time doing it. I wish I did, but I just don't anymore.
It's funny, like being an apprentice, I hated the days, just doing a mundane job. You're like, oh, can't I, go hang a door or something like that. But like when I get on site now, I'm like, say the DAS, like, oh, what can I do, mate? And he's like, oh, I'll go do this. Like, oh, what about that little crappy job over there? You want done? Like, no, you don't have to. I was like, no, I'll do that. I want to just do something mundane all day. Like just sweat it out and
I think it's freaking awesome. We've just almost finished the internal renos on our place, and it's been late nights and weekends, but I just freaking love it.
Enjoy getting back on it.
It's great.
It's for me. It's like what I was always like being a farm boy. Loved being outside and seeing Dad do a day's work, and that's the thing. And that's why actually I did go down the path of design for 6 months, doing a design drafting course, but soon realised I wasn't cut out for the office.
We did the opposites. I realised I wasn't a carpenter's.
And then that's why I became a chippy. Like to get out on site, then you do find yourself moulding yourself back on or to an office. But I don't like that and try and get back on site as much as possible. Like I find the days I do office work, I'm like any excuse to go down to the hardware shop or go out on site to see the boys is pretty easy to do.
Yeah, we've been talking. Shane and I've been talking about this today as well from another podcast. Like it's, and don't take this the wrong way, but it's like you have to do the office work, but it's like, no, I've got to pick up that shit for the boys, or I've got to check on the boys. Like, and it's in your mind, it's just like, no, I'm busy. I've got to do shit, but you should be doing the office work.
I'm pretty easy to procrastinate on office work. Like it's something that I definitely set a priority of, and I think I'm pretty efficient with it, or relatively efficient with it.
You said this before. It's a schoolboy leaving the homework to the last minute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But no, like it's something that it's quite easy to, go make yourself an extra cup of coffee to, finish something in the office. And
Yeah. Well, boys, it's been an awesome conversation. We'll wrap it up because we could go all night. But thanks so much for taking the time out,
No worries,
flying
thanks.
up here, and really, really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having me,
yeah.
mate. Appreciate it.
the opportunity. This is great discussion, and hope the listeners all get a lot out of it.
Yeah, so guys, we'll wrap it up. Anyone listening that wants to go and check out these guys, Dave, Ecowise Home, Anthony at Outlier Designers.
Just Outlier,
Outlier.
or you can find us at outlierstudio.com.au.
Yeah, go and check the guys out. We'll put some links on the podcast. Check them out on social media. And you've got a podcast?
Got a podcast. We've also got a YouTube channel, you can have a look at those as well via the website or YouTube. Yeah.
Awesome. Go and check them out. Cheers, guys.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.